Hello, everybody, and welcome to this evening's Digital Dialogues. Tulia and I had a conversation over Christmas. I hope everybody had a wonderful holiday, and we decided that we would play around a little bit with the format. So today's session will be slightly shorter. We're aiming for about 15-20 minutes, but we'd like it to be quite intense, cover a lot of ground. And on that basis, Tulia had shared a video with me earlier in the week, which is episode 2 of the Dean's Call from ESA. You may know, people that are watching this, that Tulia and I both work on the MBA program in ESA. And so when we saw this call from the Dean and he was having a conversation with another professor about AI and how to implement it and where to go, very short conversation, but really there's a lot in there in that 8 to 9 minutes. We thought that's what we discussed today. Right, Tulia?
Absolutely. And it's all relevant to everything that we have been discussing here, very direct to what the industry, what the organizations are looking for. Because if you look back to the episodes we had for our digital dialogues, Cormac and I have been extensively exploring all the venues, all the channels, everything that's happening around the AI that can and are affecting us directly and indirectly as professionals. But from now on, we want to start filtering more that information and giving to you exactly where you have to start being curious, open your eyes, and decide, okay, I'm going to be more proactive towards learning more about that aspect of AI in my daily professional life.
Because today we've said it before and we're going to say it again, the option to ignore that this is happening no longer exists. And before we get into the call, before we get into speaking about the video that we've just mentioned, today I also shared with Tulia that it was BBC, wonderful journalist Zainab was interviewing the Nobel Prize winners, and the first 25 minutes of their discussion is all centered on AI and what it's going to bring the future. And that's the entire Nobel Prize winners that are sitting around the table. So it's inescapable at this point. And what I really enjoyed about the video and with the ESA Dean's Call was not just the amount of stuff that they covered, but I found it, I don't know if you agree with me, Tulia, I found it very positive in the sense that it wasn't a video where it's, we're going to lose this and this industry is going to be decimated and that industry is going to be decimated. She was really talking about the importance of and the need for more specialized and more well-trained human managers to be able to help companies and employees navigate what AI is bringing and will continue to bring.
Exactly. Because I think the question here, the point to make is, we are not, the both of us, and we repeat this in every episode, not claiming that we are AI experts. However, we are learning and we are studying about AI and how we can bring this technology to enhance the communication and leadership trainings that we provide to our clients. So this has been a very enriching process for us. So Cormac and I will not be focusing on all the possible disasters that can happen with the technology, because also we are not in the creation side of the technology. So as Cormac said, we cannot ignore it anymore, and we have to decide with how we position towards this technology. Some people are still positioning in the denial side.
Yes.
And others also, by not understanding the technology from the perspective of the user, also think that the technology will solve all the problems, which is not the case either. And in this discussion from the podcast from IESE, they mentioned that since adopting AI in the organizations started what organizations have been looking for more, the profile for their teams, uh, is the managers. Why managers? Because they need people to be able to manage this implementation process, the tracking, and not only that, to be able to understand the process, take actions at the moment that it needs to be readapt, redesigned.
And obviously, there, as we've described before, that we've often used here the translation industry. But her argument was also that there is going to be this need for an expansion at the manager level. Yeah. So what I was saying is that there are a lot of industries that have been affected, are being affected. It could come towards the communication industry, and so we have to stay ahead of it. But when I was listening to her podcast, she was talking about the importance of managers on a transversal level, that, like you just said, that any industry, and it's going to be all of them, that implement AI, that are dealing with their current staff, they're going to need almost an army of managers. So AI has opened this new need for this speciality in a sense. It will very quickly become a career path. You will find people who can go into companies and that can help with the implementation. They can they can help to reconfigure the processes, as she said. They can focus on the cognitive skills, and that was another thing that I really liked. That she renamed soft skills in a way, and she began to speak about the cognitive skills, which again also makes it sound like those are in the hands of the human managers. So while the workforce is absolutely being changed radically, it's not all for the bad. It's not all that people are going to be huge numbers of unemployed because AI is stealing jobs. On another level, it's opening up jobs and opportunities and career paths across all of the industries.
Yes. And the good news for us here and for everyone who cares about communication, that cognitive, it equals related directly with communication, with
Yes.
your problem solving skills. And another skill that was mentioned very very much throughout the podcast was creativity. Why creativity? Because you need to have a creative mind to be able to think outside the box, especially in a technology that's new. You will have to understand this profile of this manager, will need to understand more about processes, understand more about the flow within the company to provide solutions using the technology, but also to be able to monitor and to be able to see the signs when they need to take fast actions to implement, to adapt, to change the course of the process. One thing very interesting that I've learned recently, I am doing a course. I'm preparing myself in everything related to AI in within our field, and Cormac is
Yes.
joining me.
Julia is deep swimming.
Yeah, I'm deep swimming because I say I'm curious, and I
Yes.
find that this is fascinating, and I want to learn as much as I can. There is a big, also in our terminology here, there's still a big confusion between, if people are talking about AI all the time, but not necessarily what they are talking is AI, it's automation. What's the big difference? Because automation is something that needs commands to move on from A to B, is based on rules. They do this if this happen. While the AI goes one step after, uh, which is the AI has a capability to take decisions, to understand that if this goes to that direction, what are the best options, and take a decision, make a decision. So we have to understand also the process, the thinking process of this AI technology that we are going to implement. And not only that, when they talk about the prompt engineering, which I prefer to call prompt architecture, as you know, because also I think the architects are more creative than engineers. No offense, no offense. And for that language, because it's the communication we have, the AI tools, there are different parameters. In the course I'm doing, I learned that for the prompt to for ChatGPT are different from the prompts that I can use for the one that is for the what is it? Mind, forgot the name now.
But different in what sense? Different in the linguistic structure, or different in the coding? What's the difference?
The difference where what the how you build the structure of your request, for example. And the ChatGPT, you really you need to give the context. You need to give what is the subject of action, and you need to add to tell what you want to, what is the outcome, and you need to have to do this in a very brief way, not much. This is something I've just learned recently. I was writing long prompts,
Me
but
too.
I've learned now that it works better if you give short prompts for specific parts of the task that you want it to be developed, it to develop for you, to the outcome that you're requiring. So it also means, think about this, in the communication side, this is why I keep saying, the more you use the technology, the more you use the agents, the more it helps you with your communication as well, because you need to break down your needs towards the outcome. Let's say I want to, as I gave the example of my keynote the last time.
Yes.
So I want a keynote, but a keynote has several components within this keynote. So I would have to break down these components and then give commands, prompts for each part to take the best quality information back to from my request. So
Because
if
it
I
forces
give
you
an overall, yeah,
it forces you to think. It forces
exactly.
you to be specific.
It forces you
Yeah.
to think. So this is why in that conversation with Iniesi, they were reinforcing that the cognitive skills will be important. And communication is here, cognitive.
Well, I mean, I think we often talk about a transversal skill here. In cognitive skills, communication is the basis. It's what ties everything together, because, like you just said, if you're going to be creative, if you're going to find new solutions, if you're going to lead people, if you're going to be dealing with the AI itself, you have to be able to express all of that consistently, concisely, confidently. All of those things have to happen like that. So that cognitive skills, leadership skills that she mentioned, the basis of that, a huge component of that, would be the ability to express everything that you're able to do. So you have this have this army of managers that are going to go in there, but if they're not able to explain what the situation is, she also talked about, I have my notes about the, what was also important was that a framework for the human and the AI complementarity, and how that they would come together and work together. That ability to see something, think on your feet, communicate it, whether it's to your human team or your AI team, bring those all together so that you can lead them. Communication is at the very center of that.
Exactly. And the thing here to emphasize, Cormac, I believe, is there's no, once you adopt the technology in the company, com, the company environment, these managers, these required people, they would have be working hand to hand with the technology, and they cannot just go with the flow.
No.
You know, this position of managers that we know that they just go with the flow, oversee things in a very shallow, and
Yes.
like, oh, or we can say high level, not really understand the complexity of who needs to be assigned to the specific
What?
parts.
Yeah.
So we do require the person to really expand their capabilities of overseeing everything, understanding processes, and know exactly when to act and how to act throughout a process. It will challenge us, but as in I can just mention all the skills that was mentioned in this podcast, just to make the audience to understand why it will be important, why communication will be central in all of this, because you will need to work on the creativity, as I mentioned before, team collaboration. You will need to be able to transversally and vertically to create these lines of communications and interconnections and cross references. And you have to be able to be a good problem solver and seeing ahead, also developing this analysis capability, analytical capability to forcing one step further while working together with the technology. I think it's fascinating. It is challenging. And I believe the position now, or you step in or you are left behind.
Well, and I mean, just to end on a high note, because I'm seeing that our time is coming to an end because we're playing around with this new format. What I really loved, and the professor was very, very adamant about this towards the end of the call, is that she was advocating for the importance of serious investment in managerial training and development, which is good news for you and I, good news for our colleagues in the communication industry. But she was very clear on the fact that, all of these things, and like I said, they covered a lot of ground in that call. If we don't invest heavily in giving people the skills that they need to manage that, and like you said, it's hugely complex, then we all lose out. And if you're a person, particularly if you're a younger person who is seeing this as a potential career path, getting in now, getting in early, being open, being curious, taking advantage of these training opportunities when they come. And once again, all credit to ESA, because they're clearly looking in the future. They're clearly thinking, how can we best serve our students as they move forward and go out into the world where this AI is waiting for them? So, once again, for anybody watching, it's the episode 2 of the Dean's Call. It's available on YouTube. It's 8 or 9 minutes. Really, really fantastic watch. It's worth you seeing it, and not just seeing it, but trying to do what Tuli and I are doing, in the sense of just sitting with it, taking some time, reflecting on it.
Absolutely.
There's so much there, and I think, Tuli and I, we are curious, and we're sending each other so many stuff that the other day Tuli said, Cormac, wait, we've too many things, and so if there's too many things that you're trying to understand, you don't get a chance to reflect on the things that
Exactly.
you have to build in those pauses. So
Yes,
I hope anybody watching has enjoyed us this evening.
exactly. And we will try to bring to you something more to the point in terms of how you can start considering, understanding how you have to bring, how you can adopt the AI technology to your professional life, and how you can also adopt to your trainings as a trainer if you're training in different fields, and also if you are in the corporation, like the managers. We will dissect more this topic, and we will bring to you more what we've learned, so you can start staying tuned and more aware of when are you going to step in and start preparing yourself for this new era
Okay,
that's already here.
you've said it perfectly, Tulia. It's when, it's not if.
Yes, it's when.
When are you individually going to take that step to say, right, okay, I have to engage? Yes. Well, very quickly, I'd like to wish anybody watching a very happy new year. And then, Tulia, let's do the little countdown. Let's see if we can get better at this. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Everything
Everything
starts
starts
with
with
communication.
communication.
Okay, it's better,
We
but it's
managed.
still not where we want to get it, but we'll get
Happy
better.
New Year to all of you there, and see you in the next episode.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.